All right, guys, financial resilience day 3. I'll probably start counting these episodes after a while because you're just in it. But right now, day 3 of this daily series. Thank you for joining us. And I know we had some messages from a few of you basically saying, I know I knew a Monday episode was coming, and what I really wanted and needed was a Friday roundup. So when I turned it on and found that you guys were doing a daily show, it meant a lot. And so I just want to let you know that, it's obviously more work to kind of turn these around with less notice, but we appreciate your feedback, and the fact that it's having an impact and helping you where you are or may be is hugely beneficial for us to know as we keep trying to lean into this for you. So with that in mind, to help me with this, I have my co-host Brad here with me today. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Jonathan. Yeah, I'm doing well. And yeah, to the point of, we've gotten a lot of feedback, certainly. And I think like these, as you can hear, the audience can hear, these are conversations between me and Jonathan. We are, you have really expected sincerity and honesty from us this entire time. And, that is what we're trying to bring in real time. We're trying to provide a resource to this community who, luckily, we're all so much better prepared probably than I would say, the average person. And that puts us far ahead. And we need to just continue to think. We need to continue to look at the bright side, obviously, but understand there's reality here. And I think, and I hope these conversations will bring value to you going forward.
So yesterday, on yesterday's show, we kind of addressed that this is now officially a bear market, and we kind of talked through what that might mean. We talked about it through the lens of market timing and just really encouraging our audience not to panic sell, recognizing that people that thought that their risk tolerance was 100% equities all the time, or even some variation thereof, maybe a 60-40 bond split, whatever, like, it had them quaking at the knees in some case. They just realized their risk tolerance was not what they thought it was when everything's great and has been great for years and years and years. It's okay to admit that out loud. You still can't afford to panic sell. The counterpoint to this is as the market has now dropped, and Brad, you could probably help me out with some actual statistics here, but it's pretty shocking generally. And you may see it drop again and again, or you may see it go back up and then drop and then go back up and then drop. It's going to be very volatile. That's essentially the point that I'm trying to make. There is going to be the perception that there are buying opportunities. And I certainly believe that there are. I think that we're going to keep seeing that. I think that dollar cost averaging, making your normal contributions is a great idea generally. Having said that, we are in rocky times, and you need to make sure you get your order of operations right. It's not worth it to get a great deal if you're putting your family at risk. So, Brad, I thought we could talk about emergency funds today.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. And to your point about understanding your risk tolerance, right? Like self-knowledge is really, really important. And if that's what you get out of this, that, okay, I was aggressive in great times, and I've realized, okay, I'm not sure that I could stomach that. Well, now is not the time to freak out. But when we get back to more rational times, all right, now you're armed with that self-knowledge. And I think that's important. And also, Jonathan, honestly, like I think one of the upsides of this podcast from the very beginning is how different you and I are, really, and like how we're coming from different perspectives. We have different stories. We're at different points in the financial independence journey. And if we're going to talk about emergency funds, I think it'll actually be really interesting as we go along through the next, weeks, months, whatever it may be, right? We have no idea. But us talking about like what we're doing on the ground, I think that will provide great value to the audience. And obviously, like I said, I'm in a different financial place than you are. And I think that will inform even this conversation about emergency funds.
Yeah, it's interesting to talk about that. I mean, when we say risk tolerance, this isn't just your psychology. It's your understanding of facts on the ground. You, like everybody says, oh, when the downturn comes, there's buying opportunities, right? What isn't encompassed in that is that when a downturn comes, when a bear market comes, and maybe a bear market headed toward a recession comes, the economy contracts. And sales are diminished. Income is lost. Jobs are lost. It's emotionally devastating. And your risk tolerance may be premised on the fact that, hey, while I'm earning great money and the market goes down, what I'm saving goes down 20 or 30%, that's fine. I'm just making great money, so I'll just keep adding to that. And now you're like, oh, wow, I thought my profession was recession proof, or rather, I didn't even consider that. I didn't recognize the fact that my guaranteed income, what I was banking on for the next 6 months, and I was going to keep plowing money into stocks or whatever, that could go away. That job could go away. And it's kind of different depending on what the collapse was right now. I mean, you could say, and then kind of thinking through your risk tolerance, like, is your job recession proof? Do you work in construction? And right now, like, construction jobs are drying up. New stuff isn't getting built as much. It's slowing down. Maybe not yet, but it might. Do you work in advertising? And marketing budgets are getting contracted right now as they're feeling the pinch, and contracts that you had locked down are getting tightened up. Do you work in healthcare? Healthcare, and depending on the sector, I guess, if you're working in a dentist office at the moment, maybe that's even slowing down at the moment as people aren't doing more regular visits. But whereas if you work in a hospital, if you work as a nurse, like, you're going to have unlimited overtime right now. If you're an entrepreneur that has had, steady business, and suddenly everybody is staying at home. Maybe you have a gym, maybe you have a pizzeria, maybe you have a restaurant, and your restaurant, for the first time, no matter how amazing it was, has been empty. Your risk tolerance is not about your psychological strength. It's about your understanding of facts on the ground. And now, for the first time, you may understand that what you assumed would always be there just simply isn't. The land is shifting around, and you're now recalculating what your risk tolerance is because of this new information. I understand. You still can't panic sell. I want to just say, but it's okay to now recalculate and say, wow. And Brad, that's, I think, why we've got to then first talk about this emergency fund and where it fits into the model.
Yeah, and I think looking at the world as it is, understanding reality is really a crucial aspect of success in life, right? Like, things can change. You might have thought, to your point, that you were in a profession that was recession-proof. I don't think anybody has seen anything like this. And again, we have no idea how long this will extend. Hopefully it is for a short period of time, right? But even you talk about dental offices. And this one threw me for a loop. I was supposed to have a teeth cleaning tomorrow morning. And I got a call saying that the Virginia, I don't know what it is, the Virginia Dental Association or whatever the board is, they literally shut down all the dental offices for routine cleanings. So it had to get pushed out 2 or 3 weeks in the future. I mean, that if you are a dental hygienist or a dentist, you think, I'm pretty recession proof, right? And even that can change. So again, that's not doom and gloom. It's just, let's look at reality. And reality is, we need to be resilient. And yeah, to your point, Jonathan, it does start with an emergency fund. And I think, we've talked previously with Big Earn about maybe the need, or in his case, the not having the need for an emergency fund, because you can have money in your securities and taxable investments that you could just sell. But, looking at something like this, again, you have a risk tolerance, right? Is having money in the stock market and using that as your emergency fund, are you comfortable with that personally? And I think that's an open question for each individual to look at, obviously. But for me, and I've said this before as kind of a negative on the podcast throughout the years, is I'm maybe a little more conservative financially than I probably should have been. But it helps me sleep better at night. And, now I'm in a situation where I've kind of lamented previously that I probably have too much cash on hand because of that conservatism. But now I've got, probably at least a year's worth of expenses and maybe more on hand, in various accounts. And I feel very, very comfortable with that. And, even still, we're now, obviously, we're not going to be spending as much, right? We're not going out, which is kind of, it's horrible when we're looking at small businesses having tough times. But on a personal level, our spending is going down. So our burn rate through that cash is going to go down. So, there's positives and negatives of all this stuff. And I'm not trying to talk on a societal basis that that's a good thing, because almost assuredly it is not. But on a personal basis, our spending verifiably is going to go down for the next, little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you, in contrast, I guess to say, and kind of to lean on this a little bit here. So I have upwards of 6 months of cash that I have access to, and that cash is sitting in it's an online bank account, a high yield savings account. Rates will probably go down a little bit, but when I checked, it was still around 1.8% currently, and that's with mine. Quick small nod here if nobody's heard about it. That's I personally use CIT Bank, and we are an affiliate of theirs. So if you're interested in supporting the show and you need your money in a high yield savings account, you can access that at choosefi.com/CIT. But just to kind of put this in perspective, I am always the optimist, right? And I wanted to go back to the earlier conversation, and I'm talking myself off the ledge, and I'm talking you off the ledge, right? So I think I hope that this does. Everybody on this call hopes that this will bounce back exceedingly fast. It'll bounce back shockingly fast. In fact, we're staying in our houses to speed this up, right? If you want to do right by the economy, if you want to give the small business owners the best chance at getting back on their feet quickly, the best thing that you can do is stay home. Throw an expletive in there for good measure. Stay home. It won't take much. We just got to slow the spread of this thing. And the best way we can do that is keeping the most vulnerable from getting sick, getting infected, overwhelming the healthcare system. Stay home. It's not for you, it's for them, and it's for the small business owners. Now, in the meantime, I believe, again, I'm not telling you to believe this. I'm just saying I am wildly optimistic, and hope isn't a strategy, so hear me on that. But I'm wildly optimistic that the market is going to bounce back fast. It doesn't really matter. This is not a prediction. I don't know, but I'm wildly optimistic. And I see the market going down, down, down. And I see that I have 6 months of saving. Oh my goodness. If I could get what I would have purchased a month or two ago, I can get it for 50% off, maybe even more. Holy crap. What a buying opportunity. And other people have fear right now, right? So what does Warren Buffett says? Be greedy when others are fearful. So my greed, I can feel it creeping into my lizard brain, and now, because at this point, it's so ugly that there's no way you're going to panic sell. At least personally, I still see people saying that. I'm like, oh my goodness. But there's no way you're going to panic sell. It's so bad. But now each time it goes down, I'm like, I have a pretty good amount of cash here. I have my cash flow figured out for the next several months. Should I start spending that? And my definitive answer to you, if that resonates with you, and to myself, is no. Gosh, no. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, I guess you're saying to you, reading between the lines there, the safety of having that emergency fund is now dramatically higher than it was, like you said, 3 weeks ago. The 3 weeks ago, Jonathan would have purchased. So I know you said 50%, you're talking about in the future and just wildly guessing. As of today, it's about 30%, somewhere around there, a little less probably. But you could get a 30% discount off of what you would have bought 3 or 4 weeks ago. And from 21 days ago would have dumped in a whole boatload of money, right? But you're saying now that emergency fund, the safety of that for you personally, and again, we don't give financial advice here. We talk about ourselves, but for you personally, you're not investing that. You're keeping it for a little extra safety and security. Am I hearing you right?
Yes. Yeah, that's accurate. And I would just say that there are other people that are saying, well, there's some stocks are 80% individuals. We're talking about the market. You're absolutely right. Some individual stocks are 80% off right now. Surely they'll come back up. Well, maybe. But yes, that's it. I'm like, keep your greed at bay and do not touch your emergency fund, because we don't know. We just don't know where this goes. And if 6 months from now, Jonathan is wrong, my wildly misplaced optimism is totally wrong, and this is worse, you're going to be so glad you held on to that and you didn't let your greed get in the way. Having said that, now you have more facts on the ground. You see what's coming. You see the market contracting. You understand the industry you're in. You're starting to get a sense for where this might go, and you're steadily employed. Maybe you're employed by the state, you're employed by the government. You have an industry that's just at this point, based on your current understanding, you're pretty good from a cash flow perspective. Your job is still going to be there 6 months from now, 8 months from now, based on facts as they lie. You've got your emergency fund in place and you feel really good about it. Those dollar cost averaging, making your contributions, buying it as the market goes down, is incredibly appealing. And this is what I want you to understand. This is not Cramer, it's a buy, it's a buy, it's a buy. It's a know thyself, know the situation, understand your risk tolerance, have your emergency fund in place, and with the confidence of that, make smart decisions, and ones that, regardless of what happens, I could be right, I could be wrong. The market could be back, the market could be 20 or 30% farther down. And either way, you're happy with your choice. You're happy with how you followed your plan. All right, guys, tomorrow, let's talk about what we can do for our community. We'll see you next time.